that I was hearing, like all the talks that I have been hearing, I make little notes because I feel like everything is connected, and I am also a big fan of the body and learning about the body and learning how my body works and how I can make my body a better vehicle, right? And there's another person with the microphone open. I don't know who it is, but there is a microphone open that I can hear. There's somehow Luigi doesn't have the co-host. I got a message there. Polyvagal theory came to me, like the first time I saw it was maybe before the pandemic. So it would be maybe maybe 3 or 4 years ago, the first time I heard about it. And then I started studying more during the pandemic. And there was no better time to start learning a little bit more about the polyvagal theory than the pandemic, because it actually helped me to understand everything that was going on inside of my house and understanding how people, what are the moods and why are they the way that they are and things like that. And well, and how would that all apply to yoga? So I'm going to start sharing with you guys a little PowerPoint that I made that is going to help you to, it's going to help me to guide through and help you to see what I want to talk to you about it. But somehow I can't see you anymore. So what just happened? I'm sorry. I stopped seeing you when I share the screen, and I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to see you. So let's see if that's going to work now. Okay. So what I would like to talk to you guys about a little bit is how yoga can be related to the polyvagal theory. And Stephen Porges, who was the guy who developed this theory, he says that poly means many, and vagal is wandering. As you know, that is about the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is the one of the. I'm sorry. I'm trying to see you guys, so it makes me easier. I'm just looking at a blank screen right now, and I don't know why. The vagus nerve is one of the cranial nerves, and we say vagal like it's like one, but actually it's a pair of nerves. And the vagus nerve is the one responsible for calming down the central nervous system when it gets excited. So we have to deal with the autonomic nervous system. So anything that happens, like right now, you are listening to me, and let's say that you hear a noise. So your sympathetic nervous system brings the awareness to that noise, and it's going to call your attention, and you're going to look, and you have the ability to decide if whatever you heard is something important that you should pay attention, or is not something important, you can let it go. And that will activate either your sympathetic nervous system, so you need to take an action, or you're not going to worry about it, and you're going to go back and relax again, going to the parasympathetic nervous system. But what the Dr. Stephen Porges saw is that the vagus nerve is actually quite interesting because it comes down from each side from the medulla oblongata, and then when it goes to the left side, it goes behind the heart and the organs, and that's why it's called dorsal, because the right one stays in the front and the back one goes to the back. So one is the dorsal, the other one is the ventral, and that's why they divide up these nerves. And it feels, and they understood that has different responses. Okay, so in the environment view is that we are in constant understanding of how the outside world reflects into my internal world and how my internal world expresses in the outside world. So when there is a balance between the inside world and the outside world, everything is fine. But when those two don't connect, when whatever I'm seeing outside is not matching with my feelings inside, then I need to do something about it. And as we know, there are three choices for this, right? Or if my inside world does not match with my outside world, I have to either try to change myself, or I have to try to change the world, or I need to learn to live with the difference. And I think that the pandemic has taught me a lot that I need to just live with the difference sometimes. And it's really hard for us to accept that because we want that balance to match. We want to, whatever you do, get the results you want. And that's not always the truth because, as we know from the Bhagavad Gita, when we read the talks of Krishna and Arjuna talking, you only have the control of the arrow while it is on your hands. But once you let that arrow go, there is no control of the arrow. But you need to somehow to be responsible for the results of that action. So we need to think about that really well. And if we go that inside of our own body, how many of those messages are we sending with them, right? And how that is reflecting everything that you're saying, everything that you're feeling, all those words that Harsha just mentioned, that, oh, I don't like myself, I hate myself, my body is not good, I don't like this, I don't like that. And what if we can just change that conversation? What if we can just, I'm going to stop the screen because I want to look at you. What if we can change that conversation? Remember how you talked to Shivakam just said that maybe we have to talk to the body? And maybe we just say, okay, it's not that I don't like my body. I need to learn to be comfortable in my skin. And that's one thing that we have to learn. We need to learn to be comfortable in my own skin. Lakshmi, are you still hearing a background noise? Because I turned off all the microphone. I don't know why there is a background noise. I don't have any noise around here. Would that help? Okay, so it's my headphone. Okay, look. Oh, thank you, Cheryl Bright. She's saying that I'm moving too much and is my microphone rubbing against my shirt. Oh my goodness. All right. So what if we try to change that conversation and we decided that it's not that I may not be comfortable with my body right now. Right? It's not that I dislike my body, not that I hate my body, but I'm not comfortable with this. How can I change that? And that's conversation between the outside and the inside world. Because all those things that we do, they are going to affect the central nervous system. Okay? And we are going to talk a little bit about that. So I told you that you have the sympathetic nervous system, and then you have the ventral of the vagus nerve, and you have the dorsal part of the vagus nerve. Okay, and if I go back to my screen sharing, I will show to you that what you see is that the autonomic nervous system, actually, there is a timeline, okay? And when you go to that timeline, do you see all the things? Right.
Renata, we're struggling to hear you now. The sound disappeared. Apologies for that.
You are mute, my. Hey, baby, you are mute. We cannot hear you.
Oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on. So I'm just talking to the computer microphone, which I have never tried before, but I hope that's okay and has a good sound. So I said that my PowerPoint presentation also decided to give me a hard time. So I do not know why this is giving me a hard time, but I'm gonna go to a different source so I can find and share to you guys what I need, because I do have a backup. So let's go try to my backup, and now it should be synced again, right? All right, so let me see if this is the one that I want. No, but this is not the one that I wanted. Okay, that's not gonna work.
Renata, somebody said that's Mercury in retrograde.
The what?
Hersha sent a message saying that's Mercury in retrograde.
Okay, well, maybe that has to do with my moon, right? Who knows? Anyway, anyhow. So, I may have here something that will help. All right, let me get in here. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So, as we are talking about, you're gonna see here that it's kind of like a timeline. All right. So, the dorsal part of the sympathetic nervous system is actually the oldest one. And if we think about, it's the one that is going to freeze. In the animals, when we look, it's that time that the animal pretends that. The animal is going to pretend to be that. So the animal has just two choices. The animal does not have the ventral verb in the sense of the way we work. So if there is a danger, the animal is either going to go fight or fly, or he's going to pretend that. Okay? And for us, that one is the one that is when we shut down. Is the one that is going to tell you, leave me alone. I do not want to talk about this. You know, and say, I need space. I don't want to handle this. That is the dorsal one. Okay? But what happened, and it's okay. Sometimes we do need that. Sometimes we do need to just shut down and take yourself and digest. Okay, and it's very interesting because did you know that the parasympathetic nervous system that rest and digest? And rest and digest because we need to be able to digest. We need to be able to process. So, and it's really truly a connection because the gut, the big gut needs to talk to the brain needs to talk back to the gut. And sometimes what we do when you can't, for me, when I can't process something emotionally, I lock. I can't eat. I can't swallow anything. I just don't eat. And I don't know in other countries, but I learned about this term here in the US, which is called comfort food. Do you have comfort food in any other country? You talk about comfort food. Comfort food for me is when I'm sick, that my grandma used to try to make me chicken soup. That is comfort food. But the comfort food that we use here is normally filled up with carbs. And it's going to make me get you like in a field of energy that is going to go, and you get like feeling energy, but that energy is going to go down the same speed that it went up. So people need sugar, and the sugar may give you energy, but it shuts you down at the same speed. And then what people do, they need it again, and they're keeping that vicious cycle, right? So the body is so intelligent. The body tells you what you need. But we tend to just shut that down all day long. there is something that we call esteroception and interoception. And the esteroception is the way that you're feeling yourself right now, is that the way that you're sitting and you feel in your space. When I give you a instruction on a yoga pose, is the way that your body feels when I ask you to raise your arm. But then, like I said, there is a conversation between the outside and the inside. And the interoception is the thing that's going to tell you, you need to go use the restroom. It's the thing that tells you, you're thirsty, you're hungry. But what we do a lot of times with that information, you ignore. You ignore. You ignore. You ignore. There's things that is good to ignore, like the clothes that you're wearing right now. When you first put your clothes on, you can really feel it. And now that I said clothes, your brain processed the word and you can feel your clothes. But if you could feel your clothes all day long, it makes it really hard. And if I think about a child with special needs, and there is a part of their body that is really tense, if that information was sent back and forth to the child all the time, can you imagine? People who has chronic conditions and they have that information being sent back to their brain 24/7, there is a lot of, it's very stressful. And that will dysregulate that system, okay? Because it's kind of like your sympathetic nervous system is always in action. It's always telling you, you need to do something, you need to do something, you need to do something. And you need to try to calm that down, right? So your sympathetic nervous system is a little bit younger. It's 400 million years ago, and it's for the mobilization for you to take action. And then comes the parasympathetic ventral part of your system, which is about 200 million old. And this is the one that we have been talking so much, because in that stage is the one that helps you to socially connect. And is the one that tells you you're safe, the environment around you is really nice, and you can connect. And we human beings, we are connecting people. We need social interaction. One of the things that the pandemic brought us and makes everyone really uncomfortable is because it put everyone in their own house. And there is something called social distancing. All right? So everyone needs to be feet away, and everyone needs to be careful with the other person. So the people who you want to hug, you couldn't hug for a very long time because you were afraid that you could give or receive a disease. And this whole thing has been like absorbed by every single cell of your body for the last 18 months. So now a lot of people, they are getting tired of it, and they want to just go ahead and go and do things and start their lives. And how is that going? How can we help people to get into that point that they can go back fully to that ventral part of the nerve, the vagal nerve? Okay, because you go, but you're afraid. Oh, I wanna go out to eat in a restaurant, but maybe people here are not vaccinated, or I don't like the vaccine, or whatever, and I need to deal with all that inside of me. We're gonna talk more about that in our talk on the last day of how the pandemic changed me and all that. And I'm trying to get my screen back, but somehow my the thing is open, but it is not opening. So I'm trying to figure out why it's not opening. I think I found it now. No. So what I would like to talk to you about is that what has been going on in science is that they are actually researching and proving what we already know all along. Like what all the benefits that we get with yoga and meditation, mindfulness. They are doing research and they're proving that the yoga works. I actually saw a couple of talks with Dr. Porges, and he himself said, I didn't create anything. I just put things together and I named stuff. But really, truly, I didn't do. The yoga people have been doing that for a long time, and they have been getting all these amazing results. And I think that in that sense, yoga for the special child is even more special, because the way that we work with the kids with special needs, the touch, the trust, our keys that we need to use in order to be really working with those kids, they are going to bring that light. And what you're asking about, Harsha, that is this. Is when I start working with a child, I trust that child maybe more than they trust themselves. I believe, but that goes deep into my core, because the person that I'm working with is not that limited body. I'm working with that soul. I'm connecting through love. I'm bringing that energy that Ramaswamy was talking about. That energy is the one that I bring into my class. And when you are able to express that as really truly an instrument, there is nothing that will stop you. And that person is going to start seeing those things. And yes, it's fine. It's, yeah, welcome to the club. Yeah, I also don't feel always amazed about myself, and it is fine. Mental health and being able to acknowledge and understand. We're gonna have Cheryl talking about trauma, so I'm more focused on the Polyvagal Theory in a yoga sense and how we can work. But I'm sure that she's gonna cover all the things about trauma, and you're gonna see how that works and how the mind works with the trauma. Okay, but on the yoga class, during our yoga class, we can bring that confidence. We can acknowledge, yes, there is something wrong. Don't deny. What we don't want to is to deny. Yes, there is a difficulty with that body. Yes, it may be hard for that body to move in that direction. But if I just talk, if I just try to bring that child the awareness of that body, that even if that awareness is not creating a movement, but the brain, like I was talking before, is wiring and sending the energy in the body. When maybe the body doesn't move, but when you touch the body, the touch is bringing the awareness to that part of the body. And that connection between the brain and the body is going to start wiring again. And that's what you're looking for. And then you're going to be able to feel, and the person, the child who the body is so constricted and couldn't move, they're going to start feeling that there is energy in that part of the body. There is energy in that part of the body. There is energy in that part of my body. So the more you move, the more you're going to be rebuilding the fascia that is around that's part of the body. And you're going to be reorganizing that fascia, because what happens is that when everything is really glued, it takes time. The more stiff the body is, the slower you should move to bring and to give time to the brain to understand what you're trying to do and to light up that connection. And the more you repeat it, the more it brings back up that light. And if, like Shivakami was talking about plasticity, maybe it's not going to be exactly the same part of my brain that it wires to move, to make my finger moves, but there will be a associative area in the brain that is going to light up and do that job. And I absolutely believe that the more you believe into that, the more that will bring. And why am I talking about this if I'm talking about the polyvagal theory? It's because what I'm trying to get the person is out of that really agitated state and out of the I don't want to do anything state. In yoga, what we are trying to do is to make that person to climb this step back up. So I have a beautiful slide of a guy climbing a step, and then the bottom of the step is the bottom of the stairs is the dorsal ventral, the dorsal vagal. The stairs itself, and if you think about your spine, where the sympathetic nervous system sends out the information throughout your body, the steps are the sympathetic nervous system. And the top of the stairs is the ventral part of your nervous system. And that is where you social interact. So what happens many times that you wake up in the day and you feel like you're doing really well. And you feel like something is going well, you wake up in the morning, you do your yoga class, and you're feeling fantastic. Then you walk out of your yoga room and you face your first obstacle. And you go down 2 steps on your stairs. And say, okay, all right. And you handle it okay. So you find the energy to handle it okay. And you start climbing the step back up. But then something bigger happens, and you fall down 4 steps. And you still 3 steps to go back all the way up. And that sometimes is what is happening with us. And if you understand that that is what is going on, you can gain control of that. And you can start paying attention on those little things. And you can say, okay, let's reset. Let's see if I can do. Can you guys imagine what is the number 1 thing that you have to do in order to activate your climbing back up the stairs? Exactly, your breath. I see people pointing to their nose. Yes, it is the breath. But you know what part of the breath that you have to focus on in order to calm your central nervous system? Is the exhalation. And that is a very important information because in yoga class, how many times you say, take a deep breath in? Who says that? Raise your hand. I say that. Take a deep breath in. But if you are arousal on your sympathetic nervous system, that is the last thing you can actually do because you're holding your breath all the way up already. You need to exhale. And you need to keep focus on your exhalations and allow the inhalation to just come. So if you work with a child that is really agitated, asking a child to take a deep breath in is maybe not the best idea. You want to maybe just in the beginning, I know it is not always amazing to breathe through the mouth, but we are actually, as we talk, we actually is exhaling through our mouth all the time because the talk is just the air being exhaled into words. And then we take a deep breath in and then you exhale and talk into words. So sometimes maybe depending on the way that the child is, the child inhale to the nose and just and when you feel that that is control, say, no, let's try to do the same with your mouth closed. Because you're going to feel more calm. Because the exhalation through the mouth, the air, of course, if you think about it, from your larynx all the way to your mouth is a big hole, right? So there's a lot of air that comes out in a sudden. So there's not that much control. Unless you are very controlled and you know how, I understand that it's a way, your diaphragm, and you can talk forever without needing to take a breath in. I understand that. But when you're blowing, the air goes really fast. But it helps to contract the muscles that that person is having difficult on doing. So, and when, as we know in yoga, when you take a deep exhalation, when you force that exhalation, what happens right next? You have to inhale again. And normally that inhalation is longer and more fully and more efficient. And you can try to do that right now. If everyone goes and just exhale really strong and just go and close your mouth and feel how you inhale. You can feel, because you send out the air out, that naturally your body needs to refill. Because we need to keep, one thing that we have been hearing about on the pandemic, they're checking your oxygen levels, because it has to be kept into 98, 99% all the time. If it's 97, they're already worried about you. So it needs to be kept up. So when you do that big exhalation, then you need to inhale more. And then as you start regulating your breath, you will start climbing that steps back up. But what happened with a lot of times, a lot of kids, they have traumas and they have the body itself. We talk about emotional trauma, but the body itself, somehow, it has physical trauma as well, in a sense of not being able to move, in a sense of being stuck in someplace. So I need to let that energy on the body also go. And the more that I move, as we talk about, the more I work on that fascia, and the more, because the nervous system has all ears into your fascia. And the more the fascia sends back that information, the more the brain understands what's going on with your body. And we a lot of times think about mental trauma, but a lot of traumas, they leave physical contractions in your body. And you see that, like, if you think about when you're not feeling well, if something is bothering you, you tension one part of your body. And some people really know, like sometimes it's the shoulder, sometimes people feel sick in their stomach, sometimes the hip hurts. And so people store energy in different parts of their body. And yoga is going to help them to let go of that energy that they're restricted in one area. And when you're working with yoga, you have to be very aware that sometimes what they keep on that area, it may be something that, leave me alone, I don't want to talk about it. Because when they reach those areas, and that's sometimes when you have a breakdown, when the person has like you start getting very anxious and start breathing really fast, because you have to look at the symptoms of what it is when you cling that trauma, when you cling the areas on your body that are storing something that you don't want to handle right now. And how can I slowly work? So the slower you work, the more subtle you let the energy go little by little, the easier it is for the person to handle it and to be able to overcome it as well. And the techniques that we use in yoga, and the way that the class is put on yoga for the special child and also integral yoga, is a way that you will start working, lighting up that dorsal part of your ventral nerve. Okay, I have a beautiful picture here that shows how the social engagement system works. And if you look at this picture, I'm trying to get, I see how is it this. There we go. No, the other way. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. So if you look at this little boy and all the things, look how it connects, and the part of the body that connects with it. All the facial muscles, it connects with the heart. Okay? And what is that? When you're chanting, when you're doing when you bring in that awareness, that vibration, the sound vibration is so strong, is so beautiful. And a lot of, if you just hear, like Savitri this morning sounds beautiful. And it was when you just open your heart and you let that chanting come in, that connects your heart. And as you start talking and you start sending that message back, and that's why when the mantra ends, for me, is actually the most beautiful part of the chanting, because you can just feel that energy sitting and slowly melting and bringing you that awareness that brings you in touch with who you really are. It brings you back to who you're meant to understand in this world. You outside, we have all the five senses going outside all the time. And we always comparing yourself, we always judging yourself and judging others, and your brain is always doing all those things. When you come to yoga, you have to turn those things in. And a lot of times people, you have to understand, when you judge too much people, it's possibly because you do that to yourself. Remember when Chivakama was asking about patient, and a lot of people say, oh, I am very patient with everyone, but I'm not really patient to myself. And then she said, no, you're not patient to yourself. No. No. You may be polite with them. You may not patient with other people. You may be polite to other people, which you are not to yourself. But unless you develop that patience within you, you're not going to be truly patient with others. So we have to always learn to work first on ourselves. And that's, I heard that, I just remembered, I saw that Ramaswamy saying that too. Work first on ourselves. Work first on ourselves. And yoga is the best opportunity, because it is that time that you just turn all the holophos, all the lights toward you. And sometimes it's hard, because it is much, much easier to take care of someone else's problems than our own, right? How much easier it is to just tell people and help people, oh, solve your problem, solve your problem, solve your problem. Have you solved your problems? Have you solved your issues? Right? And those are the ones that we're trying to do. So what we are trying to achieve here is to slowly move up that stairs and stay into that top on the social interaction the most time possible during our day. A lot of times we reach the bottom of the stairs, and if we stay there too long, the body kind of gets numb. And the thing is that in order to be able to go back to the social interactive stage, you can't just jump from the bottom of the stair. You can jump from the top of the stair all the way to the bottom. Really easy. But you can go from the bottom of the stair, unless you're Superman, and you know the trick, but it's really hard to jump from the bottom of the stairs all the way back up. You have to climb. And in order to climb, you have to activate your sympathetic nervous system. And in order to activate the sympathetic nervous system, have you heard the only way out is the way through? So you have to go through what is bothering you. You have to be able to face what is really making you struggle in order to go back to that social interactive stage. And that is the work that we have to be doing every day in our lives. And we go up and down those stairs. Everyone goes up and down those stairs. The problem is to stay down. And a lot of times when you work with kids with special needs, they don't have the ability to talk to you. But that does not mean that their mind is not thinking and doing everything that your mind does. And in that regard, it's about everyone. Everyone has negative thought. And the problem with them is that whatever goes on in your mind whatever happens here, your whole system, all the systems on your body, believes it. And that becomes your body's reality. And that's why we really need to take care of that mental health. We really need to take care of learning to love ourselves, because that is the way you see, the way you, it doesn't matter if anyone tells you you're beautiful. If you're not feeling beautiful, the whole world can tell you look amazing. And if you don't feel it, not gonna do the trick. But if it's the other way around, if you like your hair, but everyone else tells you that your hair looks weird, they're not going to do that. I'm just giving the opposite example. But you like it, you don't care. If you really like something, it doesn't matter. You understand? Because that's just what is in your brain. Whatever is in reality in your brain, that's the reality that you believe on. And that's the one that we have to work on. The whole pandemic has brought me to understand that we can't convince everyone of our truth. And maybe our beliefs, they work for you, but they may not work for someone else. And it's okay. As long as you really deeply believe on what you're doing, you can change yourself. And for me, the biggest example that I have about this is, again, my mom, because I see the way that she handles her health. I see the way that she is the doctor of her own soul. And I see how she goes and she overcomes so many struggles, so many different things. But she has a really strong mind. And now, how do you think that that is developed? What part of yoga is going to help you to develop that strong mind? Meditation, yes, people are going here, yes, it's the mind. So what is right here? So what do? You meditate, right? And it's a way of you going inside and cleaning your own things that you don't want to handle. But why is it so hard to meditate? Why is the brain always trying to talk? Why is the mind always trying to talk to you when you're trying to meditate? Because you don't want to handle this. You don't really want to feel it. You just want to get going with your day. It's so easy. Just do what you need to do in your day and that's it. But how are you going to really grow? How are we going to really find ourselves? How are we going to stay on that social state that is going to help you to be a better version of yourself? Yes, it is meditating. And so we talk about chanting, and chanting is going to really help you. You know, the other thing that is always said, because we actually have 5 nerves that are involved with this ventral, the social interaction. And most of the nerves, cranial nerves, has to deal with the facial muscles. So it's the facial nerve, the trigeminus, the hypoglossus, the vagal nerves, and I'm missing one. But it's all to do with the faces and all the muscles on your face. And have you ever been really angry with something? And then something really funny happened and you start laughing and the anger just goes away. You try to get angry again, but then the more you think about the funny thing that happens, the more. So what really happened with the anger? Why we're so fussed about it? It was really important to be that angry about something. And when you realize what's going on, I said, oh my God, it feels so much better to be in this smiley and happy state. And what is that? When you're really angry, did you notice that one of the things you do is that you close your teeth and you get this whole area gets really tense. And this is because in the past, what is that? Is the way that you would be, or the way that you would be biting to defend yourself. So it's your system, it's your very old system telling you what you need to do to defend yourself. But also, you close your teeth because you're either trying to not to accept something that someone is telling you, or you're trying to stop yourself from saying something that you don't want to say. And all of this really tense the jaw, really tense the neck, and really tense the shoulders. And what that does with your breath, it makes it really short. It makes you unavailable to exhale. Because if you think about it, what is the left? You are really exhaling really fast, right? Yes. So what is that happening? You're holding all the anger, and it's kind of like all in a sudden you and you just let it go. Because that is your nature. You're not supposed to be in tension all the time. You're supposed to let it go. And understanding those mechanisms, you can use those techniques to help you to get yourself out of this state of being really anxious and being really nervous, because all this just kind of hold up your breath. So simply smiling helps. But it's not the smile that if you have kids and they are in the age that they don't like pictures, and you ask them, and then you try to get them to take a picture, and then you tell them, come on, please smile, and they go like this. Have you ever had that? I had so many of those. You know what that smile is? It's a jaw lift smile. It has no happiness, no intention. And that is an angry smile. I don't want to be here smiling. Why are you making me smile? So that smile does not work. So you know that now a lot of people here, when they have to go out, they need to mask up, right? But you can, even if the person has the mask on, you can see when they're really smiling, can't you? So, yeah, because the real smile comes from the upper text. So, if you're feeling really tense with something, if something is really not being like, you're not being able to, you can just take time. Okay, I don't like this. I don't like digesting this. I don't want to take this for me. But I can take it away and I can just let go. I don't need to hold on to it, because what we do, we kind of like, sometimes if I would make a little drawing, what would be is that I would keep this stuff right in my face and I'm just trying to push it away, but it's right on my face and I'm trying to push it away and I can't get it out. But if I just exhale and say, oh, that's not mine, and you smile, it will help you to handle things a little bit better. Okay? So when you are chanting, a lot of times when you're chanting, when you're really deep inspired with the chanting, what do? You do that beautiful smile. You bring that happiness from your heart to your face. And another technique that's going to really help you is deep relaxation. And I don't even think that I need to say why, because you're just relaxing. Deep relaxation is activating your sympathetic nervous system, is calming you down, okay? Because the sympathetic nervous system is the alert system. And how many times you try to ask someone to go to deep relaxation and they are tense, you lie down, and I had a student yesterday that he was lying down for deep relaxation, and I look at his hands and the hands are like this. And I said, you can just try to release the tension on your wrist a little bit. And he looked at me like, what are you talking about? Because the person didn't realize that there was tension in his hand. And sometimes you just have to tell him to say, just let go right here and let go of the tension. Oh, yeah, it feels so much better, right? And so sometimes you need to bring that awareness. And that's why we guide the deep relaxation, to bring the brain to observe that part of the body, to see if that part of the body is really relaxed. And sometimes with kids with special needs that we're working with, that's why we kind of touch that part of the body, to bring that awareness, to help that part of the body to relax. Because I'm sure you have heard Shiva Kam saying that if you don't relax, you won't get the benefit. Stop fighting with the poses, but you stop fighting with the deep relaxation as well. You need to learn to let go. A lot of times people, they lie down in deep relaxation, but they are in defense mode. And then you have to realize why they might be in defense mode. Because that might be that, if you think about lying down on your back with your palms of your hands up, your legs slightly apart, is a very vulnerable position. It's a defenseless position, and some people, they don't feel comfortable with that. So maybe bringing the hands on their bellies is going to bring a little bit more closeness, and they will feel more safe. And that is okay. Maybe not opening the legs too much, opening the legs a little bit less, and as they feel comfortable, the body is slowly relaxing, goes to that, okay, I trust that I'm safe, and I can relax my whole body. Because if, like I said, if the body keeps sending that message, oh, I'm tense, is it okay to stay here? Well, you don't like that position. It doesn't feel good. Why are you lying down like that? The brain is talking. The brain is all the time sending those inner messages to that person. And you need to understand that that conversation may be going on, and you're going to have to help them to understand how to get out of that. Okay, so it's part those little things that as a teacher you see is going to help the person to go into places that they have no idea exist. So your job as a yoga teacher is to help your students to find parts of their body that they did not know that exist, and wake those areas up, and bring awareness to that, and bring that integrity, bring that holiness back in. Because our systems, like even when you study anatomy in school, you study everything separately. You put all the different systems of the body in different places. Then the doctors are all different. If you need this, you have to go to this doctor. You need that, you have to go to that doctor. It's all a specialist. And yoga is not about that. Yoga is about the whole. Yoga is about bringing all the systems together. If I would say, is especially the circulatory system, the central nervous system, and what we call the fascia system. The Tom Myers called the fascia system, which is all the fascia itself, all the nerve, the bones and the tendons around the bones, like this whole thing. We work with all that together when we're doing yoga. And we're trying to bring that unit and understanding the communication. And the more connected the systems are, the more results you have. All right? And then finally, you're going to have the asanas. And when you're working with the yoga poses, what you see is that, like I was mentioning, the way you move, sometimes the less angles of movement you have, depending on the person is not flexible. So you may have to modify the pose. You may have to make the pose to be comfortable. I remember in the video that I just saw, I don't know if you remember seeing Shivakami putting Jeff in a pose that he has one leg bent, and in order to do the Pavanamuktasana, one knee was bent, he raised it just a little bit, but if you look, the integrity of the alignment, so the energy flows, is there. So we need to observe when you're working with the kids with special needs that you're trying to help that energy that is normally stuck in different parts of the body to flow. So as the energy flow, as the fascia moves, as the tendons get looser, then you increase that child's flexibility, but you're also teaching the body new things. The fascia is always redoing itself, so you're actually organizing the fascia and helping the body to be more aligned and being able to do more things every single time. Okay? I think my time is up. Is that right? No one?
You have 15 minutes.
All right, so I actually, what I'm gonna do, I will share with you guys the PowerPoint that I prepared. I apologize, I have no idea what happened, but I will upload into my talk after, and you're gonna see the PowerPoint, and it's gonna give you insights from what I just shared with you. And if you have any questions or anything, I'm here open for your questions now for 15 minutes. You guys are very shy. Come on. No questions, really, truly? Did I do that good of a job? I'm trying to see if I can find the PowerPoint. I cannot even open the PowerPoint now. Before I could open the PowerPoint to see if there was anything else that I forgot. I put the message there so I could see and not forget things that I was going to talk about it.
Renata Shivakami has a question. She was going to come to the screen and I would mute her. She can ask her question to you.
Okay, Shivakami, what is your question?
It is not a real question, but a comment. When I was accommodating the body, that person you were mentioning, you see, his body was very, weak, limited. And even so, I tried not to use any kind of other thing that his own body. So what I mean is, in yoga for the special child, even if it's a very limited body, we try to empower that body rather than being empowering the wheelchair, empowering this or empowering that. We are trying to bring self-confidence and to make them understand that little by little they can get things done with that tool which they were born to go through all the challenges in life. So this is such an important thing to understand and to pass on to the child, and to empower this body as an instrument of accomplishments. And this is sacred. This is beautiful. This is an amazing approach to the body, to respect it. No, we can do this. We can do this slowly. You are not going to feel any pain. That's why I was accommodate one knee bench, then I have my leg under, like Renata said, but I kept his spine and the neck and head into alignment. And we were going from there. But if I was going to work with him every day, I am sure that time would come when he would be able to hold that leg stretched on the floor, because I have seen this movie hundreds and hundreds of times. So why? Because we empower that body and not other things that are outside of the child's body. That's what I wanna say. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, and that's very important. And studying about the fascia, I can really see why that is so important. And the warmness of our hands when we touch the child, that wakes up that fascia and that brings that communication to the brain back and forth. And when we use a tool or something, it may not get the same effect, especially when the body is really compromised. I remember the people that Shivakami worked with. I actually worked with Jeff, and they were very like resistant at the place that she had work of getting him out of the wheelchair. And also, what's her name? I forgot her name. The one that my mom has the hands on her shoulders trying to help her to breathe. When I put her in the floor, she said, "Oh, it feels good," because they used to be on this 90-degree angle all day long. And when you finally give them the space to breathe, it feels amazing because you're finally like, "Oh my God, okay, I can relax." But the people who were afraid of getting him out, they say, "No, I'll help. Let's go." And I will try and we'll help. I'll help to get him out. I'll help to get back in. So you have to develop big muscles. But it is so important. And that goes again into that empowering of the body, Hersha, and bringing the awareness that you are a person who is strong and matters, not the wheelchair, not the walker, not anything else. You matter. And you learn to talk to them even without the devices, but by the eye contact. And you can feel when you touch, you can also feel resistance or not. And you can wait for that time, for that response, for that relaxation that Shivakam talks about when you're doing a yoga pose. You have to look for relaxation. If you don't relax, if you keep fighting with the pose, you're not going to get anywhere. So for the child that you're working with, fighting with the pose, it may not be a conscious fight, like I don't like to be here, is the interoception is your body saying, why are you here? I don't like to be here. What are you doing? Cannot be only that, but a reaction of the brain that is not used to that movement. And you need to learn to make that conversation with the child. So your patient key working slowly is going to be very important. Your microphone is closed again, Shivakam. And I found my PowerPoint, so I can share a little bit really fast. Go ahead.
Just one thing that I really would like to know, because I'm curious, I am very curious about things. So here is a comment from Amanda saying, I attended a wellness after COVID seminar with Stephen Porges, and he suggested we should have referred to physical distance rather than social distancing. I would like to know what is the psychological difference in between physical distancing and the social distancing. And Amanda, can you explain this, psychologically speaking?
Can I talk about that? Because I actually understand what is going on.
Okay.
What happened with the pandemic and the fact that you say social distance, the social means that you don't, like, you are away from the person, you don't talk to the person, you're afraid of the person. But you can be physically distant, but you still have a conversation, you still interact with the person, you still be like talking, like I used to meet with Maria, and we would be 6 feet away, but we'll be happy talking. So we'll be physically away, but it's still social interacting. The term social distancing, it brings the heaviness that I can't social interact with that person, not only being away physically, but also that connection. And that connection is very important for what we are talking about, the ventral part of the vagus nerve, because that is where your brain feels confident, your brain feels creative, your brain feels like is the place that I can relate with people, I can connect, and I'm happy.
Yeah, okay, but even socially apart, I can always call or, especially now.
Yeah, but the term social distancing brought a heaviness because there was a lot of fear involved with the social. Why are you social distance from someone? And you can feel like now it's getting better, but in the beginning, like here in the United States, one thing that I learned is to say hi to, like, you don't even know the person, but you pass by someone, you always say hi, or you smile or something. But during the pandemic, people were so afraid that they're just distant, and you're kind of like always trying to walk away from the person, because everyone was afraid of catching the virus. And then the term social distance brought even that more, but it's just physical. Even in the brain, it gets a little bit different.
I got it. Might be like saying, for example, my husband and my boyfriend. My boyfriend is kind of more romantic, is more of kisses and hugs, and husband is more. I got it.
Oh, I hope not like that, because I'm going to be married for 20 years in December, and I hope I can still say all that. But the pandemic really brought the couples like,
Come on, the kisses are not
definitely worse in our couples. All right, so I'm just going to really fast, if you don't have any questions, show my beautiful slideshow, because I can finally look at it. So now you can see it, right? So, and this has to do with that too, Shivakami. So like for everything that we go in an experience, we have a sensation, you have a feeling, you have a concept, and you have a movement. So you feel something, you sense something, then that thing brings you a feeling, and you're going to try to conceptualize that and see if you need to move or not. And a lot of times trauma happens when it stops in one of the places. Okay, so and the what we try to do with the polyvagal therapy is learning how to co-regulate. Okay, learning how to understand that connection and to detect if we should be afraid of this or not. Because a lot of times what happens, and this is the term neuroception, especially with trauma, and I know Cheryl is going to talk more about that. When it clings so fast that it goes before you can actually realize that thing is going to disturb you. And your whole body gets into reaction, and that's when you realize that you just clinged your trauma or whatever you have. So what we need to understand, and once you learn what it clings, you can prepare kind of and try to go into a different path. Okay, and this is the steps that I was talking to you about. That is so nice. That talks about the dorsal part of the vagal nerve is down here, and then the sympathetic nerve. And the piece that I didn't say that I forgot, and I wanted that, is the thing that the nervous system is always listening to what is going on within the body, and that goes higher and higher complex within the brain. So within the brain, like physically speaking, the cortexes, and then start the conversation, and as it goes deeper, it gets more complex, because once it involves the limbic system and the amygdala, and the amygdala being the center of like your fear or your feelings. And they are studying now saying that the amygdala can actually store good thought as well, like can store good things. So the concept of pratikpaksabhavana, it fits in here. So it's changing a good feeling by a bad feeling by a good feeling. And this is something that we also works in yoga. And a lot of times you're going to see there's a study that relates the vagus nerves with the gunas. So if we think about it, I know that you can kind of realize that the rajas is going to be the sympathetic nervous system, okay? Sattva is going to be the ventral part of your vagus nerve, and tamas is going to be the dorsal part of your vagus nerve. And yoga is going to work on all these areas, and it's going to try to find that balance. Right, and then here I'm saying about the techniques that we can use in order to help to regulate the vagus nerve. And when you're doing asanas, you try to do with presence and awareness. And maybe for you, this is how you do. Maybe for someone else, this is where they go. Maybe someone else, this is how you do. So it depends, and the effectiveness of the pose is going to be the same as long as you keep that awareness and presence and the best alignment possible. And actually, I go a little bit further back. And for some people, it's just going to be trying to keep the legs straight and turning the body toward your right in this case. And maybe the only movement is going to be the chin coming down. And that's how far the person is going to go. But that's going to give the same effect. And this also is going to help to work on that body image that I don't need to be super flexible to be doing yoga and to be having the benefits from yoga. And actually, as you have seen me talking many times, being in this maximum flexibility of a yoga pose is actually more challenging in the sense of keeping the mind still, because you don't have to do all the, oh, how do I get to this pose? What do I need to relax? What I need to hold? So the mind tends to fly a lot more. So you need to bring a lot of awareness here as well. So just doing a pose without presence and awareness won't do the trick. And what I said about learning to stop fighting with the pose may help you. So things to do: observe your breath, practice with presence, bring the mind back always with patience, and eventually it will stay with you. Practice regularly. In order to bring the changes to our lives, we need consistency. The whole body must feel and be in tune for the change you are looking for. Do the whole practice, not just part of it. If you want a full result, you must commit fully. You have heard Shiva Kam saying that many times. Observe how you feel after the practice: mind, body, and breath. And remember, those feelings are always inside of you. Yoga shows you how to reach them whenever you want. Try to keep it going throughout your day. I hope you have enjoyed this talk and you'll be able to bring some of this to your practice as well to your daily life. Remember to breathe, keep practicing, and that love is the most important tool on this world. Om Shanti Om Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you. And I finished right on time.